It just sounds like you're throwing
New York
rhetoric
State.
around with no basis in fact.
No, you can. Have you been to the border?
Of course I have.
Have you seen what's going on? The rapes, it's open. I mean, nobody can deny that.
The border is,
and they've got it's a crisis. Where?
I'll ask the question, sir. And the
Where
border
is
is not open. That is something that is.
What does he mean the border isn't open? I mean, a good grief. You hear these numbers come in from Customs and Border Patrol every single day. This is Representative Ralph Norman talking with CNN's Jim Acosta over the weekend. And Jim Acosta is taking issue with the fact that Representative Norman is asserting these are the crimes that are taking place just as a result, as a consequence of this. Welcome back to the program. Dana Lash here with you. You can listen coast to coast terrestrially. You can stream the radio program as well. You can watch the simulcast Facebook, YouTube, and Channel 347 Direct TV. Joining us now from the great Republic of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, who I read, Governor, you just loaded up. How many more buses to send illegal immigrants entering illegally to the sanctuary states so they can enjoy that sanctuary? How many buses went out, Governor?
So we're sending out many buses each day, and it's because of the high volume of people coming in. But I got to tell you, Dana, what you were just presenting to your audience right there is really the most stunning thing that's going on in the United States, because it's not just Acosta. It's Karine Jean-Pierre, the spokesperson for Biden, is Secretary Mayorkas, both of whom say the border is secure. In fact, they say the border is more secure than ever. And you may remember Karine Jean-Pierre said, people don't just walk across the border. And they act like they can tell Americans this, and Americans will really believe it. But remember this also. Americans can quickly forget. It was just 3 years ago with the lowest illegal border crossings in 40 years. Is because of four principles that President Trump put in place: the Remain in Mexico, the Title 42, the End, Catch, and Release, and building the border wall. My point is very simple. We can have a secure border if we have a president standing up who is actually going to enforce the laws of the United States of America. Because Joe Biden has abandoned any pretense of the laws in the United States and is not enforcing them. He's doing a worse job than any president in the history of America. And yet, his administration is saying the border is secure is just outrageous.
Talking with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, I watched video, Governor, of, people with the military that were sent by the Biden administration cutting down wire that you had National Guard soldiers put out in Eagle Pass as like a force multiplier to prevent these illegal crossings. And I saw that over the weekend you had them go back out and replace it. Explain to me in the audience how it is that the administration can say, we're just going to go cut this wire and we're going to it's violating the law, but also right in your face and in the face of Texans, Governor. I mean, how is that? I'm just trying to figure out how that's not criminal by itself.
Candidly, we're looking into the criminality of it. We're looking into legal action that we can take against the Biden administration. But so your audience knows what we're talking about. The Texas National Guard, they erect these concertina wire border barriers. It's razor wire, military grade, and they stack it 3 stacks high, 3 stacks deep, and then the National Guard stand behind it with guns to make sure that nobody enters Texas illegally at that particular point. It's proven to be a very effective strategy, so effective that for reasons which can only anger Americans, the Biden administration went in there and they had their border patrol cutting that wire open, and then they pulled the wire open so that migrants could get through. So we went back and we doubled the amount of razor wire we put up in those locations to make sure we blocked it back off. And also over the weekend, we posted a video in that very location where migrants were trying to enter into the United States, and we turned them back, sent them right back to Mexico.
And to put this in perspective, because everyone says, and by everyone I mean, the administration, Governor, and of course, their surrogates on cable news, they say, oh, it's so cruel to do this. What I find cruel is their collusion with cartels that now find more value in human trafficking than drug trafficking, or the drowning deaths of the 10 and the 3-year-old just in the past 7 days in this exact same sector. That seems to me, that's cruelty. but that's never brought up. This is actually preventing that further.
You're spot on. Listen, is Biden's open border policies that lead to death and devastation for so many people. So get this. The United Nations, an agency in the United Nations, declared the border between the United States and Mexico as the deadliest land crossing in the entire world. And that's because of Joe Biden and his policies. He is directly leading people to their death, whether it be drowning in the Rio Grande, dying in the deserts of Texas, dying from falling from one of the walls that we're putting up. So Texas, amongst other things, we're building our own border wall, the same wall that President Trump put up. And sometimes people try to climb the wall and jump over the wall, that kind of stuff, and it leads to their death. And so Biden truly is causing people to lose their life, all in the name of his open border policies.
Talking with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, some of the reaction, Governor, we were talking just a moment ago about sending the buses of those who are entering the country illegally to these sanctuary states. How does it make you feel when you hear, whether it's the New York City mayor or whether it's the governor, Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams, respectively, when they're up there talking about the costs that they are incurring by dealing with these illegal immigrants that are being sent so cruelly by you to enjoy what they have to offer as a sanctuary city and sanctuary state? What are they missing? Because they act like they're expending so much resource and so much manpower dealing with this. But border towns have been dealing with this quite a lot for years.
Well, so there's a small town on the border. The name is Eagle Pass, and in 1 week, Eagle Pass had more than 10,000 people come across the border into Eagle Pass, and this was last week. And Eagle Pass has a population of about 28,000, so about 1/3 of their entire population crossed across the border. Imagine if New York had to deal with that same math, and they had 2 to 3 million people in New York who were illegal immigrants. That would be the equivalent of what we're dealing with here in Texas. But then I got to tell you this: let's connect what you just said to the way we began our discussion today. We begin our discussion with the Biden administration and Acosta and others acting like the border is secure. One thing that Mayor Adams is doing, and one thing that is happening in Chicago and LA and elsewhere, they're having to go public about having to grapple with the open border policies and their inability to deal with it. And so they are showing that what Acosta said and what Karine Jean-Pierre said are completely wrong. Democrats are showing that they cannot tolerate Biden's open border policies.
Governor, do you think that the administration is maybe colluding with the cartels? I just can't imagine why anyone would so purposefully flout existing established law about entry into the United States and do so with complete disregard at loss of life. The only thing it seems like Occam's razor. It seems like there's collusion there.
So I don't know. So, one thing, Dana, we always wonder about, what does Joe Biden really know? Does he know what's going on? Is he completely ignorant? Is somebody else pulling the strings? Candidly, Biden seems ignorant about a lot of the things that are taking place in the United States. He has not truly been in the border. He had some sanitized meeting in El Paso. The border czar, Kamala Harris, has not really been at the border. No one in the administration has really been down there to see what's going on. Mayorkas has been there a couple of times, and all he does is lie to America about it. He could be lying to Biden about it. Biden truly may not know exactly what is going on the border.
Yeah, true. One last question for you. I was reading talking with Governor Greg Abbott of Republic of Texas, this settlement. Daily Wire did this investigation, Colony Ridge settlement, and it talks about how far into the interior of Texas people who are entering illegally, how they've gotten. Apparently, this development is bigger than Manhattan, 50% bigger than Manhattan, according to recent estimates, where people can just take out a loan directly from the developer. They can build in this development, and there's no social securities required. Apparently, there's a lot of cartel activity there. There have been fatalities, murders, etc. What is being done? And I know that you're limited in what you can do at the border with respect to endless litigation from the Biden DOJ. What can be done to prevent or serve as a deterrent to stuff like this? Because there are people, and some Democrats, some Republican, and we all know who they are, But there are people who, do I think get advantage, they think that this is advantageous for their own personal needs, and they get involved in this. What can be done to stop this kind of stuff, and particularly this development?
Right. So, Dana, serious concerns have been raised about what's going on in this Colony Ridge area. And so let me tell you what we are doing, and that is I deployed the Texas Department of Public Safety to make sure that this is being patrolled. Let me give you an example. One thing I heard is that it was a so-called no-go zone. And I wanted to make sure that we eliminated any pretense of that whatsoever. And so the Texas Department of Public Safety is constantly patrolling this. And they told me so are the county sheriff as well as the local constable, making sure that the laws are going to be abided by. But we're doing more than that. We had the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality go out and undertake investigations, and they're going to be issuing a report on the quality of what's going on out there. We issued subpoenas to the developers to find out what's going on financially, and we will gather all of that information and put it together. One thing you know, but the audience may not, is we're having a special session here in the state of Texas next month. And so we're trying to put together as much information as possible so that I can add to the special session any issue that needs to be enforced in terms of a new law in the state of Texas to make sure that we're not going to have colonies like this in our state.
And because you wouldn't be able to go up there with, the Texas Rangers or the Guard or whomever right now and literally ask for ID, and then, you can't take anybody into custody and deport them. You'd be sued by the DOJ, wouldn't you?
Well, listen, we're finding out, we're getting all the baseline information so we can find out exactly what we can do and what we must do. Part of it can be using current law enforcement, but part of it may require new laws. Whatever it takes, we'll be looking into it now as well as in the next special session that will start next month.
There you go. Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Always appreciate it, Governor. Thank you for looking out for Texans when I know that the administration doesn't make it easy. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.